The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests. If you're a sensitive snowflake that may get easily offended, then turn this off immediately. If you want to hear the real truth about the gun culture, then stick around. This is the Armed Citizen Podcast.
What is going on, my Go Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast Live. This is episode number 258. Today's date is Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. We are live as always over on YouTube and on Facebook. If you're out there in the live chat, go ahead and say something. We don't know that you're out here unless you do. If you are new to the channel, new to the show, I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and apologize ahead of time. I cannot explain how sorry I am about what you're getting ready to witness for the next hour to hour and a half or however long this thing goes. But we're glad you're here. And if you're out there and you are new, go ahead and say that you're new and we will make fun of you just a little bit, but we will also welcome you to the dark side. If you want to call or text into the show, yes, you can call or text into the show. Utilize the Ghost Tactical Hotline presented by our good friends Rod and Shelly Gates at Aegis Gun Care. That number is 530-364-4678. If you are a veteran, really anybody, but especially if you're a veteran and you're in that hole, you're in the darkness and you're looking for the light, questioning if there's still light out there, call me, text me, email me 24/7. I cannot give you medical advice, but I could be a pretty damn good ear and maybe talk you through some stuff. If you are looking for someone that can get you some immediate help and get you towards some medical attention, remember two things. One, you are not alone in this fight. You have a lot of brothers out here that are willing and able to help you in any way possible. And two, the world is a much better place with you in it. So I implore you, utilize the Veteran Crisis Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Once again, 1-800-273-8255. Veterans Press 1. We want to spotlight, as always, the United States Marine Corps. If you have any questions on how to earn the title of United States Marine, see the website marines.com. And as always, we're a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Check out all your favorite pro-gun, pro-2A podcasts over at selfdefenseradio.net. Let me get this off of my ugly mug and welcome in here. William Carter says, new here. God bless you, my man. I am really glad that you're here, but man, I hope you do not judge what we do on this channel just by what's going to happen tonight. It could be a complete shit show. It might be great. I don't know. I kind of lean towards could be a shit show, but we're going to talk about some fun topics tonight and have a good time. Welcome to the dark side, William. Let's see. You got Snobs out there first. I think he was out here about 2.5 hours ago. He was really, really wanting to be the first one in there. So welcome. Screaming Skull Saloon's out there. Buck's out there to Tactical FUD. Clover's working double duty tonight. And let's see here. Rogue's out there working double duty tonight. Cherry City Guns and Ammo. Yes, sir. Tuesdays are hard for me. Well, I'm sorry. Tuesdays are the day before hump day. So it is what it is, you know. Aegis Rod's out there. I really wish it was Shelly, but Rod's out there. He says, hey, that's me. Be a lot nicer if you had Shelly, but just saying. It is what it is. She's our favorite. Everyone knows that. Let's see here. All right, we kind of caught up so far. We got some people out there watching and probably get some more coming in as the notifications come in. But before we get into the topic of the night, let's welcome our esteemed panel. I'm just going to say it. I'm just trying to be nice to these guys, but I'm going to call it an esteemed panel. All the way from the big sky of Montana, Mr. Yellowstone himself, the Rogue Banshee. What's up, homie?
Not much. It's not a lot of big sky right now with all the smoke blowing in from the fires, but
well, no, that's true. Well, the sky's there, you just can't see it.
Yeah, somewhere about 1,000 feet, above the ground here. I'm sure there's some sky up there.
Yeah, and it's probably pretty big. You just can't see it right now.
It is. On clear days, it's a big sky.
Yeah. So can y'all like see ash and all that, or is it just like gray?
It's gray. The wind picked up, and we actually had to close up the house because smoke's blowing into the house right now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, we got some great weather. What the nice thing is the smoke is blocking out some sun, so we're actually getting some great temperatures right now. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's fire season out here in the West, and this is just what happens.
That's what it is. You kind of got, we have tornado season down here. You've got fire season up there. So it's kind of what it is, you know?
Yeah, I'd rather the fire season than the swirling clouds of death that you guys get.
So you're saying you wouldn't want to be in hurricane season either, though, right?
I've been in
Because
hurricane
those are
season 'cause I grew up.
really big clouds of death.
Yeah, there's a yeah. I lived through a few hurricanes on the East Coast when I lived there, and yeah, I wasn't too happy with those either.
I understand that. Well, welcome back. I know you've been busy and all that, but it's good to have you.
It's good to be
And
seen.
yeah, right. I know, right? And riding shotgun as always from the great state of Texas, the tactical virus. I mean, Leprechaun himself. What's up, Clover?
Hey yo,
Hey yo, what's up?
not a whole lot.
Hmm.
Yeah, not a whole lot.
Awesome.
That's all I can say.
Okay,
Man,
all right.
you know how the day's been. So
I
yeah,
understand. I
not a whole lot.
understand.
Not a whole lot. So,
I haven't talked to you in like a couple hours, so things could have changed.
right,
You never know.
right.
So,
But yeah, it
since
was.
you're
It
riding
was.
shotgun, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. I mean, I don't mind. But yeah, we had a puppy pass away today, and so
It's the hardest thing in the world.
my kids are all grown, so
Yeah.
took it as well as anybody can take it. But oh my God, like an hour ago, like the grandbabies was like, "Where's Yoko?" And it's like, oh God, and so that
Yeah.
was rough.
And
The
and they're not
grandbabies,
quite old enough to understand what's
well,
going on, I guess.
yeah, it's what like kindergarten and third grade or something. So I mean, like or
Yeah.
second grade, and so I mean they understand the concept of gone to heaven type stuff, but they don't
The
understand
puppy.
that she was
Yeah.
16 freaking years old. It's just
Right.
to them
And
like
for
she
a
was.
dog, that's
Yeah,
forever old.
it's like she was here yesterday and now she's gone, and it's like what
Yeah.
happened, and yeah, so ugh. But I was doing
Yeah.
good until then. Quite honestly, that was pretty rough,
Sure.
but it'll be okay.
I understand. Well, since you are riding shotgun with this, do you have a shotgun of the week?
Yeah, actually, I've got to where I've got to try to come up with stuff for this
I know,
every
right?
week. And so I've come up with
That's
one
why I
that,
pay the big bucks,
yeah, well, I've come up with one interesting that I wager a vast majority of people probably have never heard of. I had one last week, I think that was
Well, that
that
means
way.
that I definitely don't know what it is.
Yeah, and they're banned in the U.S. So I mean, there's it's not like
Oh.
anybody here, other than maybe a museum or something, may have one. I don't know. Is the Russian KS-23. Now, this is a pump shotgun, basically designed around a 23 millimeter aircraft gun barrel
What
that
the
did not
hell is
pass
that?
muster to go on the aircraft. So they chopped them down and made shotguns out of them. So fires a 23 by 75 millimeter shell. And
Wow.
if you want the equivalency in the gauge, that's about a 6 gauge.
Holy
Pu-
cow.
Pump action with I think it's a 3. It depends on barrel length maybe, but I think it's a 3+1. I think capacity on those. So
Well, I just did a Google search of KS-23 shotgun, and most of them are little sawed-off looking riot guns, is what it looks like
right,
here.
yeah,
Is that what they are, or are they long barrel
yeah.
also?
It's more of a close quarters, close combat
Yeah.
riot.
Man, that's a pretty cool
Best,
shotgun right there.
yeah. It looks pretty. It looks pretty salty. Um, best I know from just what I know, which is not a whole lot, other than just the specs and whatnot on them. I think more like police and stuff use them more than anything.
Yeah.
More law enforcement over there. Yeah.
So it looks like a sawed-off like Mossberg 500 tactical with the pistol grip and all that. That's what it looks like. Can you imagine that little freaker with a 6 gauge? That's gonna feel really good, really good.
Right.
I'd be like, I don't want to be the breacher today. I'm good. Somebody else needs a breach today. You can use that thing. I'm good.
No kidding.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we jump into we were supposed to, and maybe he might show up. I don't know. Our good buddy Ron with Riker was supposed to join in. I got a text from him a little while ago, and I do want to send out well wishes. His son, nothing major at all. But his son was had a little accident. Had to get him to the hospital to get looked at. Nothing life threatening or anything like that. But he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it back, and he might jump in when he gets back. I don't know, but I hope it's not the namesake of Riker USA, because it was named after his son Riker. I think that's who might have gotten hurt a little bit. Like I said, nothing life-threatening, but we do want to send our best wishes out to little Riker, and hope everything is okay. As you guys know, on Thursday, Saturday, and Monday at 10 a.m. over on our YouTube community tab, we put out our Ghost Tactical polls. And we put up 4 of them this weekend. We put one out on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday this week. And we a little bit MIA a little bit. The last couple of weeks have been busy and all that. But we put 4 of them out. So let's go check out the polls. The first one was Friday, and it's got a little over 900 votes. It says, what do you prefer, college football, NFL football, or boo sports ball? I'm going to start with Clover. And being from Texas, I think I know where you would have guessed or answered had it been a choice. But since high school football was not a choice, of those, are you a boo sports ball, an NFL, or a college guy?
I'm not... probably NFL. I'm not a boo sports ball. I do pay a little bit of attention still. I once paid a whole lot of attention. And still pay a little bit of attention still, but it's usually, you hear more, I think you hear more about the NFL than anything. So yeah, probably NFL.
Rogue, what about you? NFL, college, or boo sports ball?
None. I don't follow sports anymore. When I was a kid and the NFL went on strike, and my family was eating like a Econo pie, macaroni and cheese 5 nights a week with hot dogs, I just kind of turned off when the NFL went on strike, and I just never really looked back. A little bit in high school because I played it in high school, but yeah, I just don't follow sports.
I hear you. 900, a little over 900 votes. 48% say NFL, which is a little surprising, actually. 35% said college, and 16 said boo sports ball.
I gotta wonder what it would be. Gotta wonder what it'd be if you'd have had high school on there.
There's a reason why I didn't put high school on there. Is I think that would have been the vast majority. Yeah. I think it probably would have been at least 60% of high school.
Yep.
I know it would be in Texas, and that's that's what it is. But yeah, I like both. But if I had to choose one, I'd choose college if I had to. The next one was Saturday. We got 1.5 thousand votes. Does pineapple belong on pizza? And it's real simple. Yes or no. Rogue, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I say no, but I'm not opposed to it. I don't like it on pizza.
Okay. Clove, what about you? Yes or no on pineapple on pizza?
No, period. End of communication.
I agree. I don't like pineapple. And second of all, pineapple on pizza. No.
Pineapple's okay in a few different ways. For example, with some brown sugar and a glaze on a ham, I'm okay with it. As far as mixed juice, my grandmother used to make a punch for like parties and things, and it did have pineapple juice in it, but it had other things as well. So mixed in with other things, used for cooking and stuff like that, I don't have a problem. But just sitting down and eating pineapple, no. Eating it out of a can or something like that, no.
I don't. The only thing I like is pineapple is the pineapple flavored gummy bears. Let's just be real. Now, Snobs joined us a little bit late. He said high school football for the win is before it becomes way too serious. I agree. That's why I didn't put high school on the list, because it was I know that would have won by a landslide. Now, I am judging a little bit. Snob says pineapple is awesome on pizza. Now, understand, you also have to take in context, this is a guy that won't eat any kind of pizza unless it's Chicago pizza. I don't like Chicago pizza. I'm more of a New York style pizza guy. So take that for what it's worth. He's saying that pineapple is awesome on Chicago pizza, basically, is what he's saying. But,
he also seems to think there's good Mexican food in Oklahoma.
This is true. So take that for what it's worth as well.
Yeah, he's pretty low on the culinary totem pole there. The gun snob is. Just saying.
Yeah. 56% of the 1.5 thousand votes answered it correctly and said no. 44% of you guys are dead wrong that said yes, pineapple belongs on pizza. No. He says, no, I do not eat pineapple on Chicago, you savage. The next one started, ironically, I put it out Sunday morning because it was September 11th. And if you guys didn't, Gizzard Gary does the early bird chat every Sunday morning over on the Gizzard Gary channel. Sorry, I got a text message right there. And it was on Sunday, which is obviously September 11th. And kind of, I jumped in. Clover was in there. There were several people in there. Snob was in there. Just kind of talking little different things. And obviously with September 11th, we were telling our story of September, what we remember about September 11th. And then it kind of got shifted on to a really cool conversation about nuclear and atomic weaponry, the government, all of this stuff. It was a really cool conversation. So if you got a few hours and all that, go check out the early bird chat over at Gizzard Gary's chat from this past Sundays on September 11th. So I think you guys will enjoy part of this conversation. Went on for about an hour that I was involved in. It was a good conversation. For the most part, there was a little craziness, but we'll let you figure that out for yourself. So the question we had for the poll, 1.7 thousand votes. What do you remember most about 9/11? And the choices are the sadness, the disbelief, the anger, or the sense of American pride in the days, weeks, months following September 11th. Rogan, we'll start with you. What do you remember most, like the feelings? What do you remember most about 9/11?
It's funny. I think I remember the pride mostly. I've got a chance I didn't get a chance to tour the Twin Towers afterwards, but I did get a chance to tour the Pentagon because I had training just outside the Pentagon there. And that's where the sadness comes through for me.
Yeah.
But I remember the pride because I was working. I remember I was working here in Montana and hearing that a plane hit, and immediate was like, okay, Cessna or something like that. We had worked all night, and then I got home just in time to see the second plane hit. And but I remember the pride. I mean, I don't like to think of the sadness, although that kind of comes a little bit with the pride.
Yeah. I'm gonna let Clover go through his before I touch on mine. What do you remember feeling the strongest, Clove?
Well, I could say I will never forget my feelings as far as the disbelief.
Yeah.
I did not obviously I didn't personally witness any of it, but as far as on TV,
Right.
I did not witness the first plane. I got to a TV. I've told the story before. I just dropped in and was visiting with my grandmother, and when I walked through the door, like the first plane had hit literally 30 seconds before. I mean, just enough time for it to start airing and them going, what the heck's going on? And we sit down and everybody was wondering what was going on. When the second plane hit, it was disbelief. It was like, whoa, what is what's going
Yeah.
on here? I'll never
Like,
forget that.
oh, this is real. This is happening.
Yeah, I will never. And then the reports came in with the Pentagon, of course, and other things. And you're like, what in the world is going on? And so that initial, but kind of like Rogue said, I mean, the pride thing started like the day after, right? Maybe even that
September 12th.
evening. Once we kind of had an idea, a rough idea of what happened, the disbelief goes away. You're like, oh, okay, we got a general idea of what's going on here. And then that sort of subsided, and that's when the pride kicked in, and the pride lasted a whole lot longer, thankfully, than the sadness or the disbelief.
For sure. Yeah. A lot of people know my story about 9/11. But my wife and daughter were in the air. They were flying home from Japan, and I was supposed to pick them up in Dallas later that evening. And it's early in the morning, and my phone rings, and I thought, well, maybe I thought they were supposed to fly all the way through, but maybe they landed in LA or something and having a layover. Like, there's no reason why someone's going to call that early. But it's like, okay, well, the phone's ringing, so I answer it, and it's my father-in-law over in Japan. And he was talking fast and, very broken English and all that. But I figured he was just checking on to see if the girls had, if I'd heard from the girls or not, which I hadn't at the time. And all of a sudden, he takes a big, deep breath, and he's like, New York's on fire. I'm like, what? He's like, New York's on fire. I'm trying to think, what the hell is he talking about? And he said, TV, New York's on fire. So I turned the TV on, and there it is. And Clover, you had said, none of us actually witnessed the first plane, unless you were there, because no one was going to have a TV news camera on the Trade Center that morning just for random luck. So at this time, the first plane had struck, the second had not. And I'm going, what the hell? And if you guys remember, the reports initially they thought it was like a Cessna that someone had just made a tragic mistake and flown into the building and crashed. And about, 10, 15 minutes later, boom, you're just like, okay, this turned into something much, much different. And at this point, everyone knew, and the entire world knew at this point, shit's getting ready to go down. What the hell's going on? Are we being attacked? And that second plane, we're like, okay. And then you hear the Pentagon. And so anyway, so at this point, they had closed down all airspace in America. My wife and daughter are flying in. They're somewhere either over the Pacific Ocean or over Seattle, Portland area. Don't know. They're somewhere up in the air. Spend hours trying to get a hold of American Airlines with no luck. I mean, you couldn't even get, it was busy just constantly.
Oh yeah. Imagine the number of people calling, right?
Imagine. So I'm sure they just shut down. I'm sure they just shut down the network, and there's no way. And so we have no idea. And I don't know if you guys heard this, but I had one of the weirdest feelings in the world. Do you remember about an hour or so later, the news coming on? It might have been just been the channel I was watching. I don't remember which channel I was watching. It was whatever the channel was on, one of the three channels. But they said that there had been a reported attack at the Space Needle in Seattle. Did you guys ever hear that report as well?
I don't remember that one, but I also had worked a 23-hour day when this hit.
Yeah.
So I was just dead tired. But no, I don't remember the Space Needle.
I don't either.
So,
but that I may not remember it. Yeah.
So I had heard that, and at this time, my mom and dad are at the house. Obviously, everyone's up. The world was awake at that point.
Oh yeah.
Didn't matter where you were, what time zone you were in, the world was awake at that point.
I was dead tired, and I was instantly awake for the rest of the day after working an entire day. So everybody was up.
Yeah. So when we heard that there had been a report of something happening in Seattle, like my initial thought was, holy shit. Like my wife and daughter, that's kind of the route they take, and it's like, oh, so now I'm in complete freak out mode, Still can't get anything. And so 12 hours later, at like 7:30 that night, the phone rings. This is before cell phones. At least we didn't have cell phones. So we might have had a cell phone, but she was coming from Japan. She wouldn't have had it with her anyways because she was there for like a month.
Right.
Anyway, so the phone rings. I run over there and answer like, hello. And she's like, hey. I'm like, and I don't say, hey, glad. I'm like, where the fuck have you been? And I'm always yelling at her. And she's like, what? Quit yelling at me. And I was like, where the fuck are you? And they had diverted her to Vancouver. And she was there for a few days. They get to Vancouver. They get bussed over to these hotels, and there were no hotel rooms available by the time they got there. So they set up like cots or different things in like meeting rooms or ballrooms. And I think Risa eventually got into a room because she had a 4-year-old child. So they let mothers with children, all that, into rooms finally. But I was like, how long have you been there? And she goes, I don't know, all day. I'm like, do you know what's going on? She's like, yeah. I was like, you didn't think about calling? And she's like, I said, what have you been doing all day? She goes, we've been shopping and all that. I'm like, what? And she goes, do you understand? Like every payphone had 150 people in the entire city of Vancouver trying to call people. I'm like, I get that, but that's when you start punching people. Say, I gotta, But she's like, she spent the day in Vancouver just shopping, like it was all cool with my 4-year-old daughter and all this. I'm just like, I've been stressed. I like pulling my hair out for 12 hours trying to figure out where the hell you are, and you've been shopping in Vancouver. So a few days later, she gets in town and all that. But yeah, for me, the initial feeling was absolute disbelief. Like, is this happening? Like, is someone really stupid enough to do this? And then, yeah, I don't know if it was that night, but definitely the next day, and for like, a month after, I mean, more than that, maybe. That was
the most patriotic
I've ever seen this country ever.
Like,
what's that?
Like for me, it was like, how could they? Right? I mean, we've seen a lot of stuff where the cockpit is locked. I mean, how do you get to the? You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you take over a? It's like, really? Yeah. It's just that was what boggled my mind. And I mean, it happens. We've seen many hijackings and stuff. Usually that happens overseas. And so you're thinking, well, that's overseas, right? They have different, security and countermeasures and other things. And
they do now.
It's that false sense of security that we kind of got into with that, thinking, not talking about the tragedy, and that wouldn't happen here, right? An attack on the homeland wouldn't happen here, but it was more like just the security breaches, right, with airlines. It's like, that can't happen here.
But if you think about it, all hijackings usually end up with hostages, negotiations, and stuff like that, all the way up until that time. You think about the people in the plane. They're just like, okay, this is going to suck, but they're going to land. There's going to be a negotiation. We're going to be here for a couple of days, and then it'll be over.
No one thought they were going to. No one thought that would happen. Because I remember
that was one of the amazing things about Flight 93 or whatever, right?
Yeah, they said nope, you're not
back. And then when that come out, I'm like, why did the people on the other planes not do that? It's like,
well, I want to say because they didn't have time. I mean, they were only in the air for like 15, 20 minutes. They didn't have time, probably.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know. The answer to that is I don't know. I tell you. So this is interesting because I got out of the Corps in '98, and I had a 5-year period that I could be called back. And that obviously was going to be about 2003. So I remember, man, it was about a week after, because trying to get a hold of anyone the week after 9/11, and even calling, like AT&T. I mean, it was just, you weren't using the phones, you weren't getting a hold of anyone. So it was about a week after, roughly. I called into the local reserve station. I was like, I gave them my info and all that. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know, like, do I need to get ready? I mean, do I need to come in? I mean, like, I don't know what to do. And so I got a hold. They said, well, I don't know. And everyone, I mean, imagine being the Reserve Marine Corps, office in San Antonio, Texas. And you're just like, I don't know. I mean, I want to have someone call you back. And I mean, everyone was like, I don't know. And I finally got a hold of a gunnery sergeant, and I said, Gunny, I don't know what to do. Like, what am I obligated to do? Like, is there anything I should be doing? Like, what is the next step? And he's like, I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know. And he said, there's a chance that you get a phone call saying report to your local reserve station within 24 hours. And he's like, I'm going to tell you to live your life, bro. I'm going to tell you to live your life until you need to lock in. And I was like, so, I mean, like, don't go on trips. And he's like, well, here's the thing. If someone calls you and says that you have 24 hours to get to a base, if you're not there, how are you going to know? He's like, live your life. And if they really want to find you, they will. And I was like, okay. So there was a part of me at the time. Now understand, many of you have heard my story about the Marine Corps. I got out of the Marine Corps with a very, very, very bad taste in my mouth about the Marine Corps. I was very immature about how I handled it, but I was not proud of being a Marine there for a few years when I got out. Funny how things change when the towers drop. All of a sudden, I was like, let's fucking go. Like, and turned out that there were millions of other people in America that were saying, let's fucking go. That they literally had the largest onslaught of people coming in and without a draft, let's say, and volunteering to join since World War II. And so there you go. Didn't have to go back, but there for about 2 or 3 months, like, it was questionable. Like, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. If you would have asked me September 10th, if something would have happened, I was like, fuck you. No, I'm not going back. September 11th, it's amazing how quickly like that you can just forget old wounds and just say, let's go. And so, yeah, it was interesting. Anyways, we're not going to talk about 9/11 a ton. 1.7 thousand votes, 46% say disbelief was what they remember most. 33% in second place was a sense of American pride, anger at 13%, and sadness at 8%. Now, that said, the sadness probably is number one with people who lost loved ones, obviously.
Right.
That's where the sadness. But for the average person that didn't know anyone there, it was interesting. It came out maybe like 6 months later after 9/11 or whatever. It was a short time after. And they said that 1 out of every 4 Americans through, I don't remember, it was like 3 or 4 or 5 degrees of separation, knew someone that died.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You had like 3,000 people die. But I mean, like a friend of a friend of a friend or a friend's cousin or something, there was like 1, 2, or 3. I can't remember what the degrees of separation, but like 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 Americans would have known at least one person. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Yeah. Anyway, so that was this weekend. People also tend to forget. and I send my yearly text to Tonto. But this year marked the 10-year anniversary of the Benghazi attack, September 11th, 2012. So this was the 10-year anniversary of Benghazi. So, so September 11th is 9/11. Then you had Benghazi. It's also my wife's sister's birthday. So interesting day. The last poll question. And I utilized the image poll for the very first time. And I said, who's your favorite FUD? And I gave you two choices. Clover Tack or Hickok 45. Rogue, who's your favorite of the two? Now that being said,
don't let me be here affect your vote now. Don't just say
I did use Clover's what do you call it?
My arm.
Glam shot.
Yeah,
we used Clover's glam shot.
Prestige portraits by Tina.
Yeah. By Tina. Vote Pedro.
Yeah.
Anyways,
no, it's Clover hands down.
Yeah. Well, 94% of the people that voted over 900 votes disagree with you. 94% say Hickok. 6% say our little buddy Clover. And I'm not going to go over some of the comments because some of them were pretty nasty. No, I was just joking. Most of them were like FUDs. They've never said anything fuddish and all that. I'm like, what?
Yeah, we haven't paid attention then.
You know what that poll tells me? That I'm doing a great job at fooling people. Apparently.
Yeah. Apparently. Yep. G23 said he voted for Clover Tack. Quit kissing his ass. He doesn't need anybody kissing his ass. Page in the Dark's out there. What's up? Mario's out there. Mario's like, what are we accessorizing? I think we're going to accessorize. We're going to accessorize our plate carriers. They're going to be really, really pretty when we get done with them. They're going to be bedazzled. And
we've been pulling the bedazzled out. Yeah, I'm all about the bedazzle.
I bet if you worded that poll differently, you would have got the exact same results. I bet if you worded it who is the FUD that you hate the most, you'd have got the exact same vote, the exact same results. I'd be willing to bet you did.
Probably, which means in that case, they love you. If I would have worded, who would you hate? Which FUD do you hate the most? And 94% pick Hickok. That means that 94% love you.
This means 94% of your viewers never heard of me. That's all it means.
This is true. Probably. There was a couple who the fuck is Clover Tack? And I was like, I say that every day,
And that's sad. That's sad because I'm on here every Tuesday. So
obviously people are not watching Tuesdays. Yeah.
Yeah. Do they not watch or listen? I mean, that says a lot about their loyalty to your channel. Which
this thing gets about 300 views a week, and so that means that I've got 36,600 people every week that do not watch this. So, what are you gonna do? Our good buddy Tim Knight's out there says, "Get the glue gun, plate carrier extravaganza." Tim knows the deal. We're going to bedazzle the hell out of our plate carriers. And I think we should bedazzle the glue gun, our magazines. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. We are going to talk, starting about right now, accessorizing our guns. And the reason why this came about, it was funny. So, Ghost Tactical, 90% of the Tuesdays. There you go. I appreciate you, buddy. G23 is out there. Tara Smith's Kitchen. Ahoy, matey. How are you? Most people know me well know that I spend very little time on Facebook. I think it's a weird place. Not as weird as Twitter, but it's a weird place. Most of the time when I'm over there, I'm either getting my updates on whose birthday it is today. So I'll go and say happy birthday to my friends or whatever. And I'm checking out some groups. I do belong to some groups over there, and it's pretty fun. I don't really correspond with any, but I go and look and see what's being posted or what questions and all that. And I go through one of the groups. Man, it was over the weekend, I think, maybe Sunday, and it's in one of the firearms groups I'm in, and a guy had just now I don't know if it's his first AR, but it was worded just finished building my first AR. So I don't know if this was like his first build or his first AR. Don't know. I'm just gonna go out and say that. He said, "What do you guys think?" So of course, you know how people are going to react to that. There's going to be people going, "Oh, look great, good job, welcome to the club." And then you've got the idiots. What the fuck are you doing with this, that, and the other? And why didn't you use this kind of a barrel instead of this, or why didn't you use this kind of a trigger? Second guessing the guy's every move. And it's like, shut up, guys. He's excited. He just wants to hear what we think about his AR. But the dude looked like he went to the gun shop and went to the accessory line shelves and just grabbed one of everything. He turned like that 6.5, 7-pound rifle into a 20-pound like monster. The dude had at least two grips. He had a vertical grip and an angle grip. And he might have had like a hand stop at the end. I can't remember, but he had at least two grips. He had the full-blown, like, surefire, why he had IR, but he had like an IR laser and flashlight. He had the EOTech, which I can't. I've got an EOTech with a multiplier. He had an EOTech with a 3x magnifier, but he had like anything and everything like that you could possibly put. Like there was not an inch of rail, and I want to say it might have been a quad rail, but I did not see like an inch of rail available. He had it all, and I was like, wow, like, will he ever use any of that stuff that's on there? That was my first question. Is like, hey, I got no problem. I like putting stuff on my rifles as well. But are you going to use that? So that's the kind of the question that I started fluttering in my mind. Things make you go, G23 says, Ghost, is your Facebook page the original crayon eater? No, mine is mine was not the original crayon eater. They've been nice. Yeah, Tim says hashtag fill the rail. This dude filled the rail. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. Is there are good accessories, there are bad accessories, there are people that go insane with accessories. So we're going to talk a little bit because I have rifles that, like my battle rifle, that's got an insane amount of stuff on it for what I have on there. And then I have other ARs that there's some ARs I don't even have a dot on it. It's just irons and that's it. Like it's just simple, basic, and all that. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about some of the accessories that you can get, things you might want to look at getting for sure, things you might want to say, think about that. And then other stuff, it's like, come on. Like, why does anyone need an IR laser? Unless you're running like nods, you can't see the IR, bro. Like, unless you're willing to go spend $2,500 on some night vision goggles, that IR is doing you no good at all. So it is what it is. So I'm going to start out real quick with Clover and say, one, Clover, I know there are rifles, and it's not just about rifles. It could be handguns, whatever, shotguns, whatever. I do most of my accessorizing, which I think most people do with their rifles, because especially the AR platform, it's very easy to accessorize them and all of that. But when it comes to guns, I know that you have guns that are tricked out and you have guns that are extremely basic as well. But in general, do you have a rule of thumb when it comes to accessorizing your guns on what you will or what you won't put on that specific gun?
I think it has to fit a purpose, but for me,
sure,
the purpose can just be looks, right? There are accessories
absolutely
that change the looks, so
mm-hmm.
you need to establish that. Once upon a time, I was far more concerned with the bling than I am now.
Okay.
One of my favorite rifles is an XM177 copy. Used it on videos multiple times. It's one of my favorite. It's lightweight. It's just clean. There's nothing hanging off of it. carry handles,
Yeah.
A1 sight, front post, just clean, minimalist rifle, and I've got to where I like that
Mm.
now more than a bunch of accessories and stuff hanging off of it. I mean, with accessories, you add weight. There's
Mm-hmm.
just so many other things. It becomes cumbersome. One of the things that I was really big into was what do they call them? Like the extended charging handle latches, right? And
Like they're flared out, you mean?
yeah, well, on
Yeah.
the left side, I mean, years ago, they had a charging handle latch. Several companies made them that were
Yeah.
oversized and whatever. It was on
Mhm.
the left side. They didn't make them anything for the right side because at that point there wasn't, ambi charging
Lefties
handles.
lefties
Yeah,
don't need any
yeah. But
accessories.
I'm just saying, we're talking about a long time ago anyway. Again, I had all this stuff before it was cool and a fad to do it. Anyway, um, those get old after a while after they dig into you enough,
Mm-hmm.
walking through the woods, pig hunting or whatever, when you've got them slung.
Yep.
It's like I'll deal with trying to rack it, underneath my optic or with gloves or whatever, over having that digging into my stomach, tearing up my shirt,
Yeah.
whatever. Um,
Right.
so I think that's and then they've gotten a little better with their designs. But if you're going to carry that thing slung around, uh, not the best thing to have on one.
Yep. Cherry City out there says every NC Star accessory in the market is how he rolls. That's fair. Defense Dad says you got to dress up at least one gun for barbecue days. That's understandable. That's understandable. Buck out there says red dot and muzzle brake is about as far as I go.
I'll agree with the
Muzzle brake.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll say this. Yeah, I think brakes are very essential. In the last couple years, though, even some of these brakes or compensators or hell, some of them are just flash hiders. I mean, but the muzzle devices, let's say,
Yeah.
are interesting because I saw one and I literally double taked. I was at the range. This has got to be probably 2020. I double taked at the range. And Cherry says, I hope you realize that's total sarcasm. I don't know what sarcasm is. I have no idea what you're talking about. You'll have to explain this concept of sarcasms to me. Because if I don't know what sarcasm is, then how can I identify it? So good luck. Obviously, I know that, Cherry. Although NC Star does put some decent stuff out there for basic budget stuff. I have NC Star stuff on some of my stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, so like in 2020, I was at the range and guy was there shooting and he had his AR on like the sled. And I don't know if he was zeroing a new optic, whatever. But I'm walking by, I say, hey man, how you doing? He's like, good. I'm going there and getting the target stand or whatever. Go get set up with the rifle range. And I'm walking by. And I kind of do one of those, like, hey, what's he shooting, And like I'm walking, I do one of those, and I like literally stopped and kind of did one of those. And I was like, what is that? He goes, what do you mean? I said, what is that? He goes, it's an AR. And I said, I get that. What caliber? And he goes, 223. I'm like, wow, okay. So we're all aware of the big Star Trek looking muzzle brakes that you find on 50 BMGs, right? Well, someone had taken, yeah. And someone had taken one of those, made it just a little bit smaller, but made it to where it fits on a 223 barrel.
Yeah.
Why not, right? And they might have been around for a long time. I had just never seen one, and it just struck me funny. I walked by, I was like, "What is that?" And he was like, "It's an AR." I said, "No, I get it. What caliber? 223." And I'm like, "Where did you find that 50 BMG?" He goes, "I found it online. I thought it was pretty cool." And I was like, "It is kind of cool. It's something I've never seen."
Yeah.
And he's up there and he's got his 223 with a 50 cal, muzzle brake on there. Pretty funny.
I think muzzle devices for most people, and I fall into this category within reason. Now, obviously, on my 300 Weatherby mag, 300 Winchester mag, I mean, they're on there to help mitigate recoil at least a little bit,
Right.
because they amplify the sound so much it's ridiculous. So
You do
hopefully
not want to
there's
be
some.
standing next to that either.
Yeah, no.
Whoa.
And anyway, yeah, anybody on the range next to me will hate me. But anyway,
Mhm.
but especially me. I mean, I've been into suppressors for, again, before they were ever fashionable or cool. And so for me, I fall more, and I still do. I think I fall more into the looks category on the muzzle brake, or the muzzle
Mhm.
device, let's say, than anything. And I'll tell you why. It's because if you run suppressors, obviously you got threaded barrels, right? And
Mhm.
so what are your options? Well, you can put a brake on there, or a muzzle device, right? Or you can
Yep.
put a thread protector, just a knurled,
Sure.
plain, looks like crap. So I mean, why not? Why not find a cool brake or comp or something?
Right.
You know, it's most of the time it's just going to be on there hand tight anyway. It's just protecting the threads. And so while it's in the safe, while it's in the case, while it's sitting on the bench waiting to go, whatever, at least it looks good. It just doesn't have a
Yeah.
stupid, knurled nut on the end of it. So
And
for
nobody
me,
wants a knurled nut. I'm just saying.
exactly,
No.
yeah, that could be dangerous. That could hinder your future offspring production. But
No
but
doubt.
yeah, I think I think for most people, I think the muzzle device thing is a vanity play. It truly is an accessory over, how it looks over function.
Yeah, and I'll say, and I'm not saying everyone, but I will say, in my opinion, what I believe to be true, I would say the vast majority, let's say 80%, maybe even higher. I'll get you guys' opinion on this, of people that actually do run suppressors are doing that for one of two reasons: the look of having a suppressor, and kind of like the status. Ooh, I've got a suppressor,
Yeah.
not for any reasons other than that. I don't think they truly care about the suppressing the sound or anything. Now I do know that a lot of long range shooters do it for, just the reason why they run as a break is to, mitigate that percussion. But I would think that the vast majority of people that run suppressors are doing it so they look cool, or they can say, I've got a suppressor on my rifle. So I don't know. What do you
Well,
guys think about that?
look at the
Yeah.
number of shrouds available on the market, right?
Well,
So
see,
we
I've got
talking
a
about
well, that's
we
not a
talking
that's a
about
flash hider on this.
Yeah.
But I've got a
we talk
shroud.
about
I got two shrouds on different ones up here for sure. Yeah,
so you talk
they
about a
look like
muzzle device. So for those that don't know, so when you're talking about a brake or a compensator, it threads
Mhm.
on and then it extends the barrel and then it's got
It
grooves or
does.
slots or whatever. A shroud
Correct.
goes backwards. It threads on, but everything is backwards. And so it makes you
Yeah.
look like, if you get the right one or whatever, it can look like you've got a
Mhm.
suppressor. So the
Right.
first 300 blackout I built, um,
Yeah.
I had, at that time, there was a company, I don't know if they're still in business, that made them, and it was basically the exact size of my Gemtech can that I had for that, right?
Yeah.
And when I screwed it on, it looked like a short barrel AR with a suppressor, right?
Right.
But again,
Sure.
it was
Yeah.
looks is all it was, and it was
Absolutely.
basically, it was a glorified thread protector, because now when I
Yeah.
screwed that off and put the suppressor on, it looked like a whole different rifle, obviously, at
Well,
that point,
sure.
because you had a
It's
16-inch
extending
barrel with
6, 8
another
inches or whatever. Yeah.
7 or 8 inches on it. Yeah.
Yep.
But hey, it, like, again, it looked cool when it was sitting there, not being suppressed. So why not?
Yep. Adam out there says, nope. I shoot suppress so that squirrels and birds don't fly or run away if I miss. Plus, it's quiet. That is the same for his 9 or for his 45. It's more enjoyable when it's suppressed. No. I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying that's why I said I don't think it's everyone, but I think that the vast majority of people that go suppressed, I think they find later that there are some really cool reasons why they should stay suppressed. But I think a lot of them are just, it looks cool and it's a status symbol. Hey, I've got a suppressor almost, and all that. Mark Jackson, wonder if that's the famous point guard, Mark Jackson. Doubt it, but it'd be cool if it was. Suppressor, hunting. And I don't want to blow my ears out in home defense. Just have to do something with that gas pressure. Try Iridion Raptor SD vented. Helps a reasonable deal. So, yes. For those of you out there that have never shot anything suppressed, aside from maybe a couple different setups, you can set something up to be Hollywood quiet, but the vast majority of things that are suppressed in real life, yes, it does help with the sound, but it is not the Hollywood that everyone thinks it is. You could probably get a 22 running subsonic with a suppressor. It could sound pretty cool. I know that Clover said that there is some 300 blackout that he's run that's subsonic.
Yeah, I've got a 308. I've got a 308.
Pretty close to being. I will say that what was that one down at? Was it a 6.5 Creed? I can't remember. Down at the at Talladega. That was about as Hollywood quiet for a 6.5 Creed that I've ever heard. I don't know who that was. I can't remember. That was awesome.
And the 45-7, that was dead air. And the 4570 was pretty salty too. Now I've got my 300 blackout, but it's tweaked to the max. My little short barrel 300 blackout. So it's nowhere near bone stock. Now, one thing that is bone stock, except for the ammunition, is my Coyote rig. And it's bolt action in 308. Now, being in bolt action, you've got zero sound from the action. And it's literally most pellet rifles, because of the spring mechanisms and other things in them, most pellet rifles are louder than that 308. So you know me, I'm very snobby when it comes to suppressors. I would agree with you. The vast majority of stuff that's out there, unless you get really into it and really snobby about it, and most people don't, they run supersonic ammunition, which right there is going to make a noise. So either they can't find subsonic, or they don't load their own, or whatever the case may be, and they just shoot off the shelf ammo. But even if you get off the shelf subsonic ammo, what you got to realize is that barometric pressure, elevation, temperature, all of that changes the sound signature too. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Adam's out there says, I like the idea of getting one for his 458 SOCOM, but the ammo is too expensive for me to enjoy shooting it, which is saying it's so much fun. Now, you have a 458. Is it suppressed or no?
Oh, yeah. That's a Form 1. I built that one. Yeah. I will say this. 450 SOCOM, you're not going to put a little can on it and get anywhere near where you want to be as far as quiet. You're going to have something about 10 inches in length and 2-inch diameter. You got to have some volume for that puppy. But I will say this, talking about the ammo, I agree. A reloading setup and casting your own 500 grain projectiles. You can reload some subsonic stuff that'll put a wallop on a pig. And it's pretty doggone quiet suppressed. It's not, not near some stuff just because of the bore diameter.
Yep. Mark out there says, bid hard, yes, Clover, for subsonic. Daughter runs Federal Ultra Match subsonic for pest control, and a Sparrow can. But Clover, yes, it's only a 100-yard gun. Talking about his daughter runs a 22 LR for that kind of stuff. So
Sparrow's a good can. It's a great can.
Yeah, I don't. He said her rifle barely thumps. Yeah, I guess I don't know anything. I'm not a big suppressor guy, so I don't. I mean, I know the big players in suppressors, but I don't know much about the companies that aren't, the big dogs.
One of the local gun shops here built some integrally suppressed, however you pronounce that.
Right.
Ruger 44 mag bolt actions that were crazy freaking quiet. I mean, it was insane. I think they built up like 5 or 6 of those that they ended up selling. I was lucky enough to be able to shoot some before they sold them all, but Holy jeez. But you're talking a whole different level. Now we're talking we went from suppressors to integrally, which is a whole other ball game.
Right. Yeah. I to my knowledge, maybe I did at range day on something, but to my knowledge, I've never shot it in integrally suppressed
You
rifle.
have. You shot a 22 from Black Rain, I think. Maybe it was.
Last year, the 22. Good
Yeah,
call.
I can almost promise you at SHOT Show range that you shot something integrally suppressed.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You're right. But I have very little experience with that. Once again, I don't dislike it. I have never been a big suppressed guy. It is what it is. I think that if I were to play with some more and all of that, I probably would become bigger fans of them.
Yeah.
I
I've
definitely,
got more Form 1s than I have anything. And so for me,
yeah,
that's part of the fun is to do it
is building your
yourself.
own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting it right. It's custom tuned to whatever, purpose or rifle or caliber, that you're trying to do.
So X Adam 1 says, "What is CloverTack's email?" Do you mind giving that out? I mean, it's everywhere else, but
the giving out one's clovertack@gmail.com. Real easy.
there you go. Real easy. CloverTack@gmail.com. I just lost it. I'm not very smart. I'm pretty sure it was life-changing.
We're talking about range day. We're talking about integrally suppressed. I said something about building my own.
Yes. I don't see myself doing anything within my AR pistols or ARs in general. I don't see myself. Maybe if I could get a smaller 9mm, that might be kind of a cool thing to play with on a couple of my 9mm PCCs. That'd be kind of interesting. But I tell you, the one thing that I would maybe like to do is I've got an Area 419 muzzle brake on the sniper rifle, which I really love. Now the matches that I've been to, there's only been a handful of them. The vast majority, at least here and I've been a couple here in Arkansas and one up in Missouri. Basically everybody, there might have been a couple, but I would say like 95% of the shooters in the sniper rifle, the sniper challenges, are using muzzle brakes. There were some people running suppressed. Now, my understanding, talking with Cole and a bunch of other people and Vallejo and all them, you get out west to Utah, Wyoming, Montana, where the big PRS matches are. I think the vast majority of the top end guys are running suppressed. So I think that I would have fun enjoying if I could get one for the sniper to ballistically see how things are different between the muzzle brake and running suppressed. Both of them are going to give, especially in the precision round, long range games, going to give a lot of help. But I would like to maybe do a test on my own to see which is better for me. Because you ask a person from the South and they're going to say, run a muzzle brake. You ask someone from out West, they're going to say, run a suppressor. So I think that'd be kind of fun. And the testing side of things to see what would run better.
I think with your the 22s that you got, the GSG, and then the other one that you got picked up for your daughter, I think either one of those with the 22 can, something like the Sparrow that was mentioned out there earlier, I think you'd have a blast with those, man. Seriously.
Oh, I'm sure I would. Yeah, I'm sure I would.
And 22 cans are cheap.
And one thing you got out here, Ghost, that you got to remember is that there's a different mindset out here. Those people might be using cans because they use them for hunting anyway, because we have suppressed hunting out here. So that's just what they're used to. And they just might be putting their cans.
And they might have been raised on suppressors. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, I wasn't raised on firearms to begin with, but much less, even in the Marine Corps, we didn't run a whole lot of suppressed back when I was in. Most of them are now. or a lot of them are. I wouldn't say most, but a lot of them are now. But back when I was in, no one ran suppressed. So they weren't going to give a 19-year-old dumbass Marine a $2,000 or $3,000 suppressor. They were smart enough to know not to do that, because there's an old saying about the Marine Corps: if you ever want to just destroy something, give it to a Marine and give them an hour, and they'll figure out a way to destroy anything. So they weren't about to give us a suppressor. So, you and Cherry C are going back. I heard, Clover, that you're talking about the ATF and approving Form 1s, and I don't know if it's Form 1s or what, but I heard a few months ago that wait times were down to like a month or 6 weeks for suppressors. I don't know what it is now, but yeah, earlier in the summer they were down to like, I should say this: a friend of mine got his back in 6 weeks. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, Cherry City out there is talking about kits and stuff, and I'm not. My Form 1s are Form 1s. You got to realize I'm old school. I'm talking about mills and lathes and laying it out, and I even have to make the jigs sometimes and build tools to build the parts. So we're not talking about any kit or drilling any hole.
Yep.
And I don't know anybody that's Form 1 and junk like that. I don't know anybody that's done any of that. And the reason is I've seen stuff come in that the end caps are blowed through, all kinds of crazy stuff with those solvent traps are freaking dangerous. But yeah, I mean, for Form 1,
for anybody,
for Form
maybe
1s,
for one shot, it's okay. One shot, maybe.
Well, you can do anything.
Well,
once.
I mean, no, they may hold together. They may hold together for hundreds of shots, but eventually it's going to fire, and it's going to, shrapnel's going to go everywhere, and it's not going to be a good day. But anyway, I actually had one do that to me one time. I was working on one in the shop, and I took it out back, and it was a 22, if I'm not mistaken. And thankfully, it blew the end cap and ended up blowing 2 or 3 of the baffles out the end of it. And, thankfully everything went away. Now, I never did find it, threw them into a pasture that was neck high with weeds. And so we never did even find the parts or anything to it. But,
Right.
That's some personal experience. And then I've seen tons and tons of people that's tried it and all of that. But no, what I'm talking about is like legit builds. And that's one of the reasons. Now, the Form 1 thing, when you Form 1 an e-file right now, whether you're talking about Form 1 an SBS or an SBR or a CAN, yeah, Form 1 an e-file, I mean, we're seeing things back 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, maybe 12 weeks, like maybe.
Right.
Pretty consistent.
Yeah. Which is really cool because with that e-file, like I said, a buddy of mine got his back in 6 weeks early in the year, which is crazy. Sometimes it was going 16 months at one point a couple of years ago, well over a year and a half, but yeah, with the way that times are kind of getting sped up a little bit with the ATF, and there are some suppressor companies that have budget lines that are very, very, very reasonably priced, that are still good quality, but they're more entry level cans. I'll ask you guys, Rogue. I'll ask you first. Is the suppressor game? Do you think it's going to grow in the next few years, big time, or is it still going to be kind of a niche thing?
I think it's going to become more accepted. The one thing, my sister lives over in Europe, and it's funny to think about how the U.S. thinks of suppressors and how Europe thinks of suppressors.
You have to have them over there to go to the range. Yeah.
Over there, it's considered rude to shoot without one.
Right. Exactly.
And then here, it's just like you're the most evil person in the world because you got this thing that's whisper quiet, which that's just not true. The case.
Right.
So I think it's going to catch on. Now with the backlogs coming in, of the e-file is solving some of these backlog problems. I mean, I know I could walk out in my front yard and throw a rock and probably hit about 5 suppressors in my neighborhood, or at least 5 houses with suppressors in them. It's just one of those things that when you get into some of these more friendly states, it's just it's becoming common. For me, I don't have any cans. That's just not my thing. I think they're cool. There was I know we had it was like last year we had a rabbit that was in my yard that was injured, and one of my neighbors came out with a 22 with a can, and we put the thing down. And shooting in our neighborhood is not allowed, but no one even knew because of that can. I mean, if
Until now,
anybody,
just everyone's watching this. There's tens of people watching this. They're going to turn you
yeah,
in now.
yeah, well, they can
The
they can
homeowners
turn me in all they
association is
want.
going to have a letter in your mailbox tomorrow.
Oh, trust me,
Excuse me,
they
sir.
hate
It's been come to our attention that
they hate my ass anyway. So, I live to be a thorn in their side to begin with. But yeah, I think it's just going to become more of an accepted thing, and I don't get personally I don't get why it's an NFA item. Um, I don't understand why, but it is what it is, and I think it'll become more. I think it'll become more accepted.
now Calaveras says I didn't think that suppressor is even allowed in California. No NFA items at all. So that's
Well, that's okay. All
California
the
for you.
Californians are moving here anyway, so they'll end up learning the fun while they're screwing up everything we've got.
There has been a pretty good exodus out of California in the last couple of years. A lot of
They
people
got
going to
signs
Montana.
now.
A lot of people going to Wyoming.
Florida.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming is one of my favorite places in the world, and I understand that even Jackson Hole has become
It's overrun.
yeah, which
Well,
is
they're
sad.
now putting signs up in California saying "Don't move to Texas."
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, they're moving to
like,
Florida though instead, so it's like,
yeah, they are.
yeah.
Tim out there says
Tim
Tennessee's
says
closed.
Tennessee is closed.
Well, our joke in Montana is Montana's full. We hear North Dakota's nice.
You know, interestingly enough, I saw a thing. This is probably 5 years ago or so, maybe even longer than that. That North Dakota is they were suing South Dakota, and because the word South was helping them in tourism, because people thought since they were South Dakota, it was warmer and all of that. I'm like, they have Mount Rushmore. Like, that's why South Dakota's tourism is always going to be higher than North Dakota. They've got Mount Rushmore. Like,
Well,
people aren't going to South Dakota saying, ooh, let's go to South Dakota. That sounds like a pleasant place to be, you know?
So
They actually sued them.
Somebody's moved across country 3 times through North Dakota. When you leave Montana into North Dakota, it is the flattest piece of earth that you will ever see. Flattest, featureless piece of earth ever. Yeah, but it is kind of funny. I know some people in North Dakota, and it always seems to be they're pissed at the South Dakotans.
I don't understand. It's like,
I don't get it.
Their tourism is being helped because the word South in the name. No, they have Mount Rushmore.
They have Sturgis. They have Sturgis.
Sturgis alone is going to bring in more tourists than North Dakota does.
Exactly. I mean, I've been to North Dakota, been to South Dakota, and quite frankly, I think South Dakota is a lot better. It's a nicer place. They got the whole Black Hills region is great.
Yeah.
If you have rock crawler, man, people are out there in their 4-wheel drive with 4-wheel steering, crawling all over stuff. I mean, there's more to do there.
Yeah. All right. What's that?
I was laughing at X Adam 1's comment. North Dakota sounds like the exit.
Oh, like the exit. Just yeah, it's probably about right.
All I can say about Californians moving to Texas,
California,
I would prefer, if you did, that you stick to the Austin, Houston, San Antonio, DFW regions, please. Don't move into smaller towns in the country, and for the most part, people are doing that. So,
I suggest you stay to Austin and Houston. Leave San Antonio alone. Leave Dallas alone. Houston and Austin, man.
Well, all of those are already blue. That does not skew the political makeup at all.
I know, but I love Dallas and I love San Antonio, and I might end up in one of those two eventually, back to retire, and I don't want that shit going. So stay in Houston, stay in Austin. I will not retire either one of those places.
Right.
Ooh, how about we send them all to North Dakota?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Send everyone to North Dakota.
Yep.
There you have it. Make it great. Make it your own state, guys. That absolutely, I think that North Dakota should be the refugee state. 100%. Send everyone in North Dakota and give them all 5-10 acres of land. Give them all. Hey, come on. We're going to give you all acres. Anyways, yeah. All right, so let's kind of get back somewhat on topic. Oh, that was a fun discussion, but so I do want to do this, and you don't have to do it to one, but the question is going to be. I'll start with Clover on this one. Let's say for an AR-15, is there an accessory that you think that the average person who's getting into their first AR platform rifle should get? And it might be more than one, but as you know, obviously there are accessories that are good ones. They are ones that are universally accepted as to being good for any situation. But, you know, is there one that sticks out in your mind to you that says, you know, if you're going to get your first AR, this is probably something you want to go ahead and get into also?
I didn't know. We're not talking about an AR?
No. Well, we are. What I'm talking about is let's use the AR as someone's buying their first AR-15. Yeah. Like, is there an accessory that you sit there and said, you know, you pretty much need this also?
Man, you always ask the hard questions. I guess it kind of depends on the configuration on your AR, right? Man, flip ups. I mean, you know, most ARs are going to be flat topped with, you know, not have a post or anything.
Especially in the last couple of years. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then, so, man, flip ups, I would say. I mean, they're reasonable enough, and you never know. And learn how to use the flip ups would be the next thing.
Yeah. Rogue, what about you? Anything that stands out in your mind?
Mags. 5 mags. Buy a lot
extra
of them.
Magazines. Sure. Yeah. See, you know, and Tim has a great one. He said a sling, or otherwise you're going to be putting it down a lot. I mean, yeah. I mean, a sling's a great accessory. You know, as much as, you know, yeah, flip up sights would probably be the one. And I'd say, you know what? Honestly, I would go ahead and get a set of like the Magpul flip up sights and find yourself the best red dot that you can afford. Honestly,
yeah.
At this point, I think they need to learn how to use flip ups. But I think that for the average person that has very little experience to no experience, learn how to use the flip ups. But if you have someone that can help you zero, and most of those red dots are zeroed already for, you know, 50 yards or 25 yards or whatever out of the box, you know, I think the average person getting their first AR and getting into a red dot, I think a red dot, as much as it pains me to say that I think a red dot ahead of flip ups is more important, I do think that people can shoot easier, have more fun quickly with that AR with a red dot, and then you can always learn to utilize the flip ups at a later time.
Yeah, the other thing to think of is maybe a 22 conversion kit
for training and all of that, shooting it cheaper,
and just having fun.
Sure. Yeah, no, I hear you. I don't know. I do like a sling though. I think a sling is definitely in the top 3 or 4. You know, you've got flip up sights. Let's say a flip ups, red dots. I think maybe a sling is next. I think you go sling before you go any kind of a grip or a light or, you know, a laser, or I think that sights, we'll say sights, whether it's flip up or red dot sight or an optic. I think a sling's right there behind that for sure. And that's something that I love. I'm a sling like hoarder. I love slings for some reason. I've got slings that cost me $1 up to $100. I love slings, but honestly, for me, like, I know they aren't, but like a sling to me is just like they should come with the rifle. They really should. Like every AR-15 that's ever sold should come with a sling.
Yeah.
So I don't think of it as an accessories. I think it's pretty much needed. You know, it's mandatory. And maybe flip up sights should be mandatory also. I think, you know, everyone should have flip ups or something like that, to where they're not considered. Because I mean, honestly, Clue, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you. But I would almost say that flip ups shouldn't be an accessory; they should be mandatory.
Okay.
Or you know what I'm saying? Like I think that they should
I'm okay
be
with that too. Yeah.
I think every rifle should come with some way of sighting it in. You know. I don't know. Let's see here. Patriot out there says, wrong again. Sights and optics are just a fad. Get mag loaders. Put mileage on it. Mag loaders. Okay, that's real. Mag loaders will help you in the long run. I promise you. Once you go and buy the magazines, buy mag loaders. They will help you.
Yes. Yeah. Make your life way easier.
Oh, much easier, yes. Adam says, I'm far behind on slings. Don't really carry my rifles, just carry it in a case to the range. Not against them at all, just need to learn to properly use them. And see, that's the whole thing. I think why a lot of people, and I don't know this, I'm just speculating. I think a reason why a lot of people don't run slings is they don't know how to properly use them. They keep them as stretched out as they can. They sling over their shoulder, and they think, well, this is falling off my shoulder. It doesn't help. That's not how you run a sling. Maybe most of the people that aren't sling people have never been taught one of two things: never been taught how to properly utilize a sling, or two, and probably not ever been taught, and have probably not used the right kind of sling for what they need it for. You can't just you can go down and buy a $1 GI sling at the surplus store if you want. But depending on what you're trying to do with that sling is not going to be a good sling choice. So yeah, there are different kind of slings for different situations. And how to properly run a sling is something that, we learned from day one. But that's what we did. But running a sling the right way will probably bring you into being more of a sling person if you know how to run a sling. So it is what it is. Yeah. Let's see here. Mark Jackson says, I say every AR should come with backup irons. Buy a rifle, no sights, huh? Yes, apparently. Yeah, I mean, especially these floating hand guards and all of that. A lot of the hand guards these days that are being made for ARs are there for aesthetics. They're cool designs and all of that. And most of them don't have rails when you buy them. You have to buy a rail to attach it and then attach your flip ups or whatever on there. So there's that, but I'm not saying that if you buy an AR that the sights have to be on the rifle. I think that if you're going to produce handguards that doesn't have a rail or anything or a way to attach flip ups on, then you should supply like a little 2-inch piece of Picatinny and the sights that in the box that you can at least put on if you wanted to. The rear sights shouldn't be an issue with the rail on top, the upper. But if you're going to run, I think that either they should be already on there if they have the capabilities of running the rail, or a little piece of Picatinny and the flip ups that you can add to your side. I think they'd all should come with that. That's just me. Maybe I'm stupid, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Well, it's funny because like my wife when I gave her AR, I was like, hey, do you want a red dot for this? And she's like, no, I want irons on my rifle.
Sure.
Because what happens if the battery dies? We go through all that stuff. She's like, I want to be able to run this thing with irons. And then if I want a red dot, I'll get one later.
Sure. No, I hear you. I don't disagree with that. I think that, I don't know how to put this, for beginners or people that are new, either not necessarily new to guns, maybe, but new to ARs, especially new to guns and ARs at the same time. I think if you get a red dot on there, they're gonna enjoy that because they've seen the video games or whatever. They're going to be probably a little bit more accurate, quicker, and all that.
They get into the enjoyment a lot faster that way, right? Because really,
100%.
once that red dot's on, put the dot on the target, squeeze the trigger, and that's where the bullet goes.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's easy. And don't get me wrong, it's fun. Red dots are a lot of fun. But I do think people should learn and should have available to them the irons. I mean, that's just the way
I think this should be mandatory. I think that they should be mandatory with you.
I had a buddy of mine, him and his son took a carbine class. And the son, like a quarter of the way through the carbine class, broke his red dot.
Okay. Yep.
And the instructor goes, good thing you got irons, or else you're done the class. So all he did is he had the irons and continued.
I don't know this to be true, but I would think that it'd be worthwhile if you're going to run a carbine class. I think backup sights or flip up sights
should be required,
or you can't take that class, because there's a good chance that in that class you might do something to break that red dot. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they might even, and I might even go as far as, I'm going to give you $50 off my course if you go and get one of those cheap $50 Amazon red dots for this class only. You bring like one of those cheap ones, because we're going to bang the hell out of it. We're going to break that thing, but we want you to be able to break that and still be able to use iron. That'd be interesting. If
that would be, because then you're dealing with, you have no idea when that red dot's going to fail. And you have that surprise thing. I mean, that's the whole thing with the red dots. It's, when is it going to fail? Either the battery's going to run out, or you're going to break the optic. Whatever happens, you have a realistic situation at that point.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep.
Or what happens, like you're talking about the $50 red dot. What happens when it comes off zero?
Yep.
You shake that thing loose.
That's a real thing. Is most people, especially starting off, don't understand the importance of Loctite. They don't understand, seriously, when it comes to optics, how important Loctite is.
Proper installation and torque either.
Yeah,
this is true.
True.
Yeah. I say that if you're going to buy an optic, especially something that's bigger, better than a red dot, any LPVO or actual rifle scope, and you don't have a torque wrench, then you're not doing yourself any justice.
Wheeler fat wrench.
A Wheeler fat wrench is the best. I have that. I think all three of us here have that.
Yeah.
It is the best.
I have the new fat sticks too, and
nice.
those things are great because there's no thinking. It's like 15
Yeah.
torque. You're done.
Yep.
You don't have to think
Yep.
with those things. They're awesome.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. All right, so I'm gonna start with Rogue real quick. Now we asked what's probably the most important accessory that someone can get. Now I'm gonna go. It doesn't have to be for an AR. It could be any like handgun, shotgun. I mean, right, whatever it is. What's your kind of your favorite accessory that either is on most of your weapons or maybe it's something new, whether it's maybe an RMR for your handguns or a light on your handguns. But like right now, what's your favorite kind of gun accessory that you've gotten into lately or in the last couple of years, let's say?
So it's funny because I've been a very plain person. I didn't really accessorize my guns until really recently. And
Sure.
my favorite right now is I put a red dot on my SIG P365 XL.
Okay.
And I've not been a red dot fan for carry
Right.
guns because I always like to say I'm a pistol person that wants to be a rifle person. So mine goes right. I go right to the pistols first, and I'm enjoying the hell out of red dots on my pistols.
Right.
I've got one on my competition gun. I got this one on my carry gun. That's kind of where I'm going now. Just to have some fun with it. I like the red dot that I'm running on the XL or yeah, on that XL because it's got a notch in it that I can use my iron still. So if
Mhm.
that red dot goes down, you just hold the gun just a little bit differently, and then you still have your irons.
Yep. I like this question. Mark Jackson notes here says, "Go speaking of attachments, your thoughts on M-Lock." I don't have a problem with M-Lock at all.
It took me a little while to get used to M-Lock, but I mean, it took me about all 15 minutes to figure it out, and then once I figured it
Yeah.
out, I'm good.
You know, the great thing about M-Lock is it gives you options with what do you call it? Modern designed, especially like the Gucci rail on hand guards and all of that. M-Lock gives you options to be able to put rails on things that maybe weren't available. A lot of people don't like M-Lock, but I do.
Or depending on your accessory, you don't even need the rail.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, sure.
Because if you're looking at like an angled foregrip or something on an AR,
Mhm.
I
Yep.
don't need to put a pick rail on and then attach. I just go get an M-Lock foregrip and put it right on,
Yep.
and then
No,
that's
that's fair as well. Sure.
one less wiggle point that I have at that point, or
Yep.
one less thing that can come loose. Or yeah, it took
Yeah.
me a little while to get to M-Lock, but once I got to M-Lock, I haven't looked back.
Yeah. I think the one thing that you need to be weary of when it comes to M-Lock, and a lot of my stuff is M-Lock. I mean, because of that reason, it's easy for me. It's easier to put those on, and but you need to, once again, it's going to be something that we're going to talk about here. Make sure that it is tightened properly and probably Loctited, because if you
Yeah.
get banged, if it gets loose and that thing will turns just a little bit, now you got stuff just flopping around and banging. Make sure it's tight, and even throw the little Loctite in there as well, to make sure that it's locked in place. Once they you rotate them into the right spot, they've got to be tight, or it could be really interesting. But I'm a fan of M-Lock. Clover, what about you? Your thoughts on M-Lock?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I prefer M-Lock over key mod for sure.
Oh, 100%. Yes. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I don't see here.
Before you got onto that, you were talking
Yeah.
about the one thing we haven't talked about, and like for me, I mean, if you're into the poly, handguns and the Gucci Glocks, not a
Sure,
whole lot
sure,
you
sure.
can necessarily do. But I've got a lot of metal handguns, both a revolver and semi-auto, is grips.
Grips, yep.
And grips, yes, are a fashion statement thing. Totally can go that route with them.
Sure.
But the functionality there can be major too.
Well, yeah, it can change your mechanics to where you're a better shooter because of the right
no doubt.
grips.
Like 2 examples I got, like that Gerson, that 1911 10 millimeter. Phenomenal handgun. The grips on it are pretty decent. That came on that thing, but I switched to, I'm a lock grips guy, right? The G10 and just the different textures and other things they have. But I put a set on that. I think they call them the bogies, which is a pretty aggressive, fairly aggressive type of texture. And it totally changed the way that felt, the way that it shoots so much better. It feels so much better. And some of the first lock grips that I ever got, I picked up that little Beretta 84. And the stock, whatever they are, plastic, rubber, whatever you call it, that was on that Beretta 84 were horrible. You would shoot that thing, and for a 380, as heavy as that 380 is, it just
wide and
it just jumped all over the place. And I'm like, this is twice the size and twice the weight of my Glock 42, same caliber, and it's jumping all over the place. Like, what in the world? And I picked up some fairly aggressive grips from Lock Grips in blue, which look beautiful against the black on the handgun.
Sure.
And that's in my carry rotation now. I mean, it changed the way that shot so much. I mean, now it sticks in my grip. It doesn't move around. The weight added to the 380, I mean, it's a laser gun. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Now Clover's in there saying he's just here waiting for us to talk about accessory for the lever action. I understand.
I got no response out there on that. So,
no, crickets. I figured crickets probably is what happened. They're probably like I was. There's accessories for lever actions.
There's a very important accessory, in my opinion, for lever actions. Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
It's like
a hammer extension.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Not the first thing would have come to my mind. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah, no doubt about it. Mark says, not a fan of irons and CQB. Difficult to keep both eyes open. Red dot, no problem. But if the brakes are no shake awake on the dot, you better know how to use irons or thumb aim. Okay, so I agree with you. I am a red dot guy. Especially for CQB. I'm a big CQB guy. Most people that know me well know that's one of my passions. That's one of my, I'm not going to say expertise. I'm no expert, but I'm pretty damn good at CQB. That said, if you're not, how do I put this? I don't want to sound condescending or sound assholish, but I guess there's really no way to do this. Unless you're experienced in CQB, chances are most people don't realize you're not clearing a house looking through a red dot. If you're clearing in a CQB manner looking through the red dot, you're probably not going to make it out alive. You're looking over the top of the red dot. Okay. If you're in a CQB situation, to be honest with you, if you do it enough and you're proficient and you know your weapon system, and to that extent, you shouldn't need iron sights or a red dot. You should be able to, when you've got it, you should be looking right over the top of that red dot so you can see your full field of vision, and you should be able to point and aim and and make contact at 10 yards. Anything outside of 10 yards is probably going to be considered CQB anyways. Let's be honest. If you're inside 10, 15 yards, and once again, you've got experience and you've got knowledge of your weapon system and you've got it where it needs to be, you shouldn't need an CQB. You shouldn't. Same thing with being at 7 feet with your pistol. You should be able to point and shoot and hit silhouette. to take care of a threat. That's just my opinion. Now, I will say most definitely, if you're going to run something, it needs to be an optic. I would say a red dot is much easier to go CQB than flip up sights. But once again, when you're running CQB in an indoor or just a close quarters, but especially in a building or whatever, and you're going through room to room and you're room clearing, you're not looking down that red dot. You're over top of the red dot. That's just me. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Shake awake. That EOTech right there on the battle rifle, it never it's not a shake awake, but it never turns off. I'll check it once a month, and eventually the battery's just going to die. When it dies, I put a new battery in there. It never turns off. I've never turned that EOTech off in years. I just keep it on. When I need to grab it, I want to know it's on there. Like I said, I check, I don't know, every few weeks, but not even more than once a month. But every few weeks, make sure I just kind of look in there, make sure it's good to go. If it's off, I put a new battery in. The batteries cost nothing these days. Where those like 2032s or whatever they call those little round, they cost nothing. So I'll just put in a battery, but I never turn it off because that's not a shake awake. I do love the idea of the shake awakes these days. That's, some of these shake awakes will have 50,000 hours of battery life, and they're shake awake where you never have to worry about turning them off. They're just going to turn off, and when you shake them, they turn back on. They're good to go. I think that's one of the very few things that has the red dot game has come a long way in the last couple of years with the shake awakes. I think that was a huge improvement. For sure.
That's something everybody needs to keep in mind, and they need to keep in the glove box of their truck, in their range bag, whatever the case may be. Anyway, it's batteries for what they use, right?
Absolutely. I keep some of the grip of mine also.
I've got a couple of that's a great idea. I've got a couple of Trijicons that are tritium.
Yeah.
And so they're the same way, like they're on all the time. I don't have to don't have to worry about them. Now, eventually that fades. And honestly, I don't know. I need to speak to Trijicon. I've never ventured at a show or anything up to them to ask like what happens, if I've got a 15, 20-year-old, you know what I mean? Because one of them is getting up to that that age. What happens when I've got a 15, 20-year-old model and the tritium dies? Can that be fixed? Because there's nothing
100%.
wrong with the sight. I don't want to have to trash a freaking Trijicon.
No,
maybe somebody out there has had experience with that, but I've never asked Trijicon what the process is on that. I don't know if you can send it in and have it recharged or whatever. Should be able to, much as you pay for them. Of course, I got both of mine, really good deal used. So, but they don't know that.
Patriot says to Ghost just agree with me. Optics are a fad. Negative, Devil Dog. I will never agree with you. That's kidding. Yeah. Mark says he went from a Trijicon to a Sig Romeo. 20 millimeter, a little smaller, easier over, as you said, AAA batteries and shake awake. I didn't realize, is the Romeo AAA battery run? Now, the ones that I've used aren't. Now maybe it might be a new Romeo 5 or 6, whatever the newest one is. I've never had one that run on AAA, but that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool that AAA battery could run that thing. So I didn't know that.
That'd be kind of a big red dot for AAAs, though. Romeo 5, there it is.
Oh, he's saying it's a Romeo 5. It's not. It's just a normal red dot. But I didn't know it was a AAA. Does it say? Do you have it up on your website?
No, he just answered back. He just answered back in the chat. Romeo 5 XDR.
Oh, XDR. Okay, XDR. So there is a Romeo 5 that's interesting. I did not know they had a AAA battery run.
I didn't know that either. That's actually cool because I like things that run standard batteries. And
the battery in that one is down. I think it's down underneath the unit. The battery compartment's almost like in the rail. on it, I think.
Cameo 5XD.
If I remember, and I could be wrong.
Let's find out. Let's take a look at images real quick.
Mark could definitely tell us.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It sure is. It's right underneath the tube.
Yeah.
It just
That's
screws
that's
off.
easy
I'll
to
be damned.
change. Yeah, that's really easy to change.
Yeah.
I'll be damned. I didn't know that. There you go. I learn something new every day. Adam said that Buc-ee's sells the 2032 batteries for 99 cents for a 2-pack. There you go.
$1.25 at $1.25 store. It's not the Dollar Tree anymore.
Yes, it's no longer the Dollar Tree anymore. Yeah,
but they got the 2-packs for $1.25 too. And I think their Sony batteries are actually pretty good batteries. They're not knockoff brand.
They're See, we actually have one of the Dollar Trees and the other store that actually is still $1, and you can get those 2035s, like 2 of them for $1, and I think they're Panasonics.
Yeah,
there you go.
Those used to be expensive, but so much stuff you use them nowadays that they're not bad at all.
Yeah, Adam says his Vortex Spark uses a AAA battery. He has rechargeable ones. You know, that's an interesting idea, as to rechargeable batteries that you can always, sure. But I'd always have some alkaline also, just as backup to the backup to the backup. Is what if you're out in the shit and you can't find a power source to recharge those batteries, or that the charger breaks? You better have some alkaline batteries just in case,
You also have to be very careful with rechargeable batteries. There are some rechargeable lithium batteries out there that are a different voltage. And I think, is it AA? Because it seems like they're AA, but I'm not positive. But you will burn something up if you run those in.
Interesting.
And something that's just supposed to use an alkaline AA battery. They're like 5 volts to 3 volts or something, and you'll smoke it. Ask me how I know.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it was a good company, and they didn't ask any questions, and they warranted it, and I didn't have to worry about it. But yeah.
Buck says he just picked up a Wheeler scope mounting kit. That's always a great one.
Thing to have. Yeah.
Adam up earlier says for a carry gun, his first accessory were night sights. I was a big night sight guy until a couple years ago, and I still enjoy them. I still have several of mine. One of my Glocks, the Walthers, several of them have night sights on there. But I've become a big fan of the fiber optic sight. But yes, I would say an aftermarket, either fiber optic or a night sight for a carry gun or a home defense handgun or whatever are most definitely. What were you going to say, Ro? Go ahead.
Well, it's funny because I used to be big on the night sights, and then back when I had my FFL, I had one of my feds that bought guns through me. He actually stopped using night sights, and he was teaching people. And I was like, why is the whole night sight thing going away? He goes, well, think about it. If you're at low light and you can't identify your target anyway, does it really matter where your sights are? So they stopped teaching with night sights and started teaching with just regular irons.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is it doesn't matter what kind of sights you got. After that first shot, if it's low light, you ain't going to see them anyway.
No, you're not.
Adam down there followed up, and he does make a good point. He says night sights make it easier to see the gun at night on his nightstand. Now, with that, I will agree.
Yeah, and plus the orientation.
That said, you better have that gun in light a little bit during the day. If it stays in a drawer the whole time and you open that drawer up, you're screwed because they ain't going to show up. So,
if
it's
your carry gun, right, and you're
If it's your carry gun, But if it's like truly like a nightstand, like in the drawer, and you've got night sights on it, get that out in the light at least a little bit,
Or you can get a UV, a little UV
inside
lamp
the drawer,
and put it inside the drawer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And a UV lamp is not bright, and so if the drawer was closed, it wouldn't bother you.
Yeah.
Mandatory carry out there. Appreciate you, brother, as always. Mark says, I think Rogue just shot a lightning bolt at least home defense. A white light on any gun is the best accessory you have. So I am not a fan. I do not like running guns on lights on handguns. I don't like it. I have a couple of them that have lights on it, and they are for a specific reason, very specific reason that's personal. So I will not go into why I have a couple guns with lights on them, but they have lights for specific circumstances. Typically, I have gone to my in-home is a 9mm PCC, and it does have a light on there. For handguns, though, I never have gotten into the whole light thing on. As far as the white lights, now mandatory carry says lights tell the bad guys exactly where to aim. Here's the thing about lights, whether it's on a handgun or your AR or whatever. Once again, take it in context. You have to know how to utilize them properly. If you're worried about having a tactical advantage and not giving your position away, I get that. But there's a way to run a light properly. You're not just going to run around your house with that light on the whole time, shining it, and everywhere you go, that light stays on. No, you're going to use that pressure button, and you're going to peek around corners. You're going to do different things. Most importantly, you're going to, before you pull that trigger, you're going to identify that person as an absolute threat and not someone that's a friendly. But most importantly, understand this. The reason why I'm not a huge fan on in-home defense weapons is especially the thought of this. When do most home invasions occur? At night, correct? So you're sleeping, or at least your eyes have become accustomed to the dark because it's dark. The last thing you want to do is go around shining a light everywhere, because now your own eyes, yes, it does hurt their eyes, and a light can be used as a weapon in itself. Let's be honest. If you shine a high lumen light in a threat's eyes, they're going to be doing this, and that gives you time to get away or pull out whatever you got to do. It gives you that split second to do that. That said, it's going to screw with your eyes as well. And for me, people talk about tactical advantage. Well, you know what the best tactical advantage is? Me and my own home in the dark. I know where every single piece of furniture in my house is. I know how to get from point A to point B anywhere in my house with the lights off. That's a tactical advantage. The threats, unless they spend a lot of time in your home, which is scary to think, they don't have the advantage of being able to walk around with no lights on and get by. I can do that in my home. So I'm not going to use that light until it's time to identify, and that's about it. That's just me, though. That's just me. Go ahead.
I agree with you. I mean, in the home, I don't like the idea. I have an in hand.
No, a light outside in a rifle, absolutely. It's a different situation being outside.
Yeah, if I'm out, whether it's a hunting situation or I'm out, there's a disturbance on the property or something like that. Then in that sense, having something where it's on a handgun or where it's on a rifle or a shotgun, is convenient, right? Because you can, it's just you can have one hand free Whereas, inside the house, when I'm holding a light and holding the handgun at the same time, not necessarily the case. But, the issue that I've got in a home defense thing, and I don't have kids at home anymore, but I've had kids crawl in their windows late at night, and I've had weird things, right? They're teenagers.
Sure. Yeah.
What happens?
That's all you gotta say. Teenagers, weird things.
What happens when you hear something, you get up, and maybe you're just flipping the light on to identify, but if it's a weapons mounted light, you're flagging.
You're
potentially
idiot, that person.
and so you're talking about getting woken up in the middle of the night. I get it with firearm safety and with all the other things, but you're talking about you don't know. You're talking about you're getting up in the state of whatever it is, right? Because you just woke up. It's not, for me, it's not a good enough combination for me to be pointing a muzzle at somebody. I get it. We got muzzle action trigger. And even if my finger is not on the trigger, which it wouldn't be, that's just not enough. I'm not willing to take that risk.
Now, that being said, this comes back into CQB, training and experience and all of that. If I'm clearing a room, I'm not presented out typically. Okay. Like, you can have it in like a low ready, like right here, just maybe like at a 45 degree up here, but it's pointed down to the ground or up high. You turn that light on and it flashes the ceiling or the ground. I promise you, with the way that these weapon mounted lights are, it's going to put enough light in the room that you're going to be able to identify. You don't have to point that light at the actual threat. So that being said, if there are people out there worried about that particular scenario that Clover was just talking about, and that is a real thing, you don't want to have to go around flagging people for sure. If you get used to, I tell people all the time, maybe when no one else is at the home, take the magazine out, make sure your weapon is clear, but take your AR pistol, or whatever you're using for that home defense with a light or whatever. Clear your house once a month. Do it when nobody else is there, so you don't have to, and make sure the weapon is 100% clear and unloaded. But clear your house once a month. And if you get used to keeping it about right here instead of here, just keeping it right here, that way you do flash that light, you're not muzzling or flagging
right
who or whatever you're looking at. You're pointing down at the ground. You can learn, absolutely.
Learn reflection points, right? And so
absolutely,
that can help.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But I mean, and then again, in a situation where you have an armed intruder, at the point that you flash the light, you've given away your position at that point. And then it's a 100%. Jesse James, Billy the Kid, who's faster on the draw to get on target, right? Situation. So I don't want that either. So I don't know. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, I don't think, for that.
I don't think there is either. And there's a reason, like, for me, I'm not very big on weapon mounted lights. I have two. And I don't I don't have them on the guns all the time. Most of the time they're in a jar here in the studio, and it's just for testing, like a holster that somebody sends me. It's like, okay, we want you to test a holster, and I just test it. Okay, great. Other than that, I don't have my lights on my guns.
Yeah. So this is my stream light. So this is what I consider my truck gun, my home defense gun. Little 9mm AR PCC. Love this thing. But this is what, if someone's in the house, this is what's being utilized. Stream light. Little light right there. Most definitely have that with the pressure pad. So, not a problem. Reason why I'm saying that is, I'll go back up here. They were talking about weapon lights should be used sparingly and go so it's going to be dark until you have 3 kids. Now, that's a real thing. Yes, you should know your house backwards and forwards. But if your kids are one of those that leave skateboards and Matchbox cars and different toys on the ground, that could hurt. That could be dangerous.
Oh,
If you're
my
not used
wife
to having
made
toys.
my wife was making videos. You remember the video she made where it was like her home defense? And it was
It was more like Home Alone, wasn't it?
it was like the first line was the puppy. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace at this point. But
Yeah, the little
and
army figurines or something like
then it
that,
was
wasn't it?
army figures, and then there was
Yeah,
Legos on the floor, and there was
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was pretty interesting. Like that would
Mm-hmm.
work.
100%. Mark says, I stand by having a weapon light. No, no, no. I am not weapon
Well, I
light.
said earlier you'd stepped away to get that, and I'd said earlier. I mean, it's a tough call. Everybody, there's really no right
Yeah.
or wrong answer. You've got to make a call based on your comfort level, your situation, because everybody's going to be different.
Yeah. 100%. I would say, and it all depends. Once again, it all depends on what that particular weapon system is going to be used for. Now, a lot of us are lucky. I don't know. I mean, we have enough weapons that we could literally dedicate weapons for specific tasks or but if you only have one or two guns and that one AR-15 is your everything, it's your plinking machine, it's your truck gun, it's your home defense gun, it's your hunting gun, it's everything, then I understand why some people are going to have every accessory on there if they're going to utilize them throughout some time. If you're putting all the accessories on there to make them look cool and all of that, yeah, they do look cool, but I promise you that 7-pound rifle is going to be a hell of a lot easier to work with than a 20-pound rifle once you've got everything on there and mounted to that rifle. That said, I do think that there are certain accessories that, let's say there's 5 or 6 accessories that I think that whether you're using it for home defense, self-defense, truck gun, whatever, a multi-purpose that everyone needs to have. I think we've covered sights, optics, slings. I'm going to go and say that I do believe now for an AR, a good weapon light is in the top 5 accessories. That said, if it's going to be used for self or home defense, if you're going to use it for hunting, that's a whole different issue. Probably not. But I think anything that you're going to have an AR wise that you're going to have for home or self defense, whether you use indoor or outdoor, I don't agree with the average person having IR, infrared laser. That doesn't make any damn sense unless you're running night vision nods. You can't see it. I'm not a big fan for myself of a laser in general. If you've got time to turn a laser on, then you've got time that trigger should have already been pulled, probably. Now, that being said, there are times that a laser could be a deterrent in itself. People walking around and they're approaching you, and you think, okay, I feel threatened, and you point out that laser at them. People know what a laser in a chest means. But the flip side of that is we come back to what Chloe was talking about earlier. In order for you to get that laser on someone, you've got to be aiming and pointing that weapon at them. So I'm not a big fan of lasers in general. What do you guys think about lasers in general?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of lasers either. I agree with you. If you get that laser on someone, you should have had your muzzle on them already, or you already do have your muzzle on them.
Mm,
That is precious time that you may or may not have, and in a life and death situation, it's you don't have that time. Uh,
yeah,
Plus, if you are dealing with, and we're going to deal with multiple intruders at that point, the laser traces back to the gun if someone else is watching. depending on, if you're outside and there's, steam or fog or whatever, you can trace that laser back to, the person. I would
Sure.
rather have a flashlight, right? I'd rather have a flashlight. I think it's a little more practical. Um, Again, lasers can get bounced, get smacked around, bounced, knocked out of zero. I think people start worrying about, hey, where I put that laser is where the bullet's going to go. Yeah, it does at a certain distance.
Yeah.
You need to start understanding what your offsets are of your iron sights plus your optics plus a laser. It's too many things that you're starting to balance out. So I think
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
trying to.
lasers are not practical.
I think lasers are extremely practical in a military, even a law enforcement
Yes,
sense. When you have
I
IR and you're running nods, that's
highly
the
trained
only
people.
time
Yes,
that I think lasers.
yeah, I would agree.
Um,
Uh, for
because
the
you can
average
run
person, I don't
IR
think so.
with your nods, and it's a communication thing also using the IR
Yes,
with night vision. You can identify threats. You can acknowledge, hey, I've got this guy here, or hey, look over there. Do you see something over there? Or hey, there's our exit. We extract over there. You can use that IR because the only ones that can see that would be the ones with night vision.
yeah.
That outside of that, I'm not a laser guy. I'm not going to tell anyone they shouldn't go get it. If you want to run a laser, by all means, run that laser, but be proficient with it. Practice with it as well. Someone was saying out there, just don't get a $20 um, light for your guns. I'm never going to tell people that they can't buy a $20 light.
That's what you can
That's
afford.
that's what you can afford. I'd rather have that than nothing. What I will tell you is there are a lot of great options out there, and everyone knows, and Clover is too. I think Rogue, even you guys, you are a fan. I've been running Streamlight stuff
Yep.
for years. I've run Surefire. I've run all of them. And I'm not paid by them. I'm in no way am I partners with Streamlight. I have worked with them. That doesn't mean that I'm on the take or
You're a fan.
whatever.
You're like me. You're a fan.
I'm a fan of Streamlight for the
Yep.
price. There is nothing better on the market, more durable, that can do whatever you need it to do than a Streamlight. This one is the TLR RM1. And then actually, I was checking earlier. This actually does have a laser. It's a laser light combo. Probably help if I get the right one. It's the TLR. I've got a video on it, and I'm pretty sure I've got an article on your report on it. Great light. It is a laser light combo. I don't run the laser. You can run laser and light, or just light. I run just light. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But yeah, it's sure Streamlight, Surefire. They're all good, but Streamlight for me, for the money as a whole. Not saying every single light that Streamlight puts out is awesome. Not saying that. What I will tell you is, if you're looking for the best quality, most durable for the value, bang for your buck, it's hard for me to say go find anything but a Streamlight.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you. I mean, for me, I'm hard on everything. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be
Yeah.
a range bag. It can be a remote for a TV. I'm hard on everything. And
Mhm.
I have yet to have a Streamlight fail on me. And
Yeah.
I beat the crap out of everything.
Yeah.
I like it. And like you said, I'll never say don't buy a $20. If that's what you can afford, go get it. If you can afford
Mhm.
something a little better, step up your game. Maybe you can afford
Sure.
something a little better later. Awesome. Upgrade
Yeah.
your gear.
100%. Um, Mark says, where you put the 4 QD for the sling. Is that what you're talking about? Right there. Now understand, this is how I run. Okay. I'm a Magwell guy. Okay. So my sling, and if I'm going, I've got it all screwed up right now because it was hanging on a wall. If I'm going to go CQB, I'm going around my neck like so to make it almost like a single point. I'm not coming in here going CQB. I'm going around here because now I can change hands. I can do everything I need to do, and it's still right here. So now this is the 5.5-inch AR pistol, so it's not like it's the biggest thing in the world to begin with. But that's my setup for home defense CQB and all that. Little 9mm PCC, Foxtrot mic, I believe. Yeah, Foxtrot mic, and this one. So, and it's got the foldable pistol brace as well, so it can really be put into a backpack if you want. Really good, really good. That's a Bushnell optic, Streamlight. Yeah, I love this thing. Really, really love this thing. Sling, in case anyone was wondering. Oh crap! I love this sling too. It's our buddy. Beach and Tactical. Damn, Jacob over at Beach and Tactical. Had this probably for 4 or 5 years. Really do like this sling as well. But yeah, so yeah, most lights above the 100 range price are pretty decent stuff. There's some lights. My favorite carry light, not a weapon light. Favorite carry light was about $35 from LA Police Gear, and I did a video. I shot it with a shotgun. I drug it behind my vehicle on rocks. Literally shot it with a shotgun, and that freaker still runs.
On camera.
So on camera.
On camera.
Huh?
Yeah, you did a whole video of it, shooting it on camera.
Get the fore-end painted. No one. So green OD FDE OD green. Green FDE green. It's not black. That's painted OD green. So that's green and FDE. So it is not. You don't have to raise money for me to get my
kind of gray.
What's that?
I think that's what's the colors are kind of off because your FDE is coming through kind of gray through the camera.
Could be because I got the weird lighting, maybe angles, but green FDE. So that's the paint scheme on this one. So yeah, green and
it's coming through black, gray, black.
Oh, is it? Okay, well,
yeah.
Phoenix. Someone's talking about Phoenix. Those are pretty decent. I saw Olight mentioned. I will say this: I am not a fan of Olight. I will not say that they're bad. I will just say that I think that for the same price, you can find something a lot better. But once again, you got to have to find a brand that you like, that works for you, that works for your budget, that you like. And as long as it's going to work when you need it the most, I don't care what brand it is. I don't care if it's one of the Amazon brands. I don't care. It is what it is. So there we go. Yeah, Phoenix does make some good stuff. I'll give you that much. Yeah. All right. So we've been going, we're going over 2 hours and 15 minutes, or close to 2 hours and 15 minutes. Rogue, I'm going to give you a few minutes. I know that you've been busy with life and jobs and all of that. But I will say, I know you've got some podcasts coming up here pretty soon. Tell people where they can find you. What are some of the projects, whether it's with shooting, with, video reviews or podcasts, whatever. What are some of the things that they can find over at the Rogue Banshee channel?
Yeah. First of all, you can find me at Rogue Banshee. It's on YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. Just look for the Rogue Banshee, and I've got that one pretty much locked up everywhere. Yeah, for stuff coming up, earlier in the podcast, I was getting the final details for the next podcast coming up on Monday. It'll get released on Monday. We're going to record tomorrow, which it's funny that we spent a lot of time with talking about suppressors. It is with a suppressor company. It just happened to be a suppressor company that we were talking to at SHOT. It was Ghost, Clover, and I were down in the Cancer Club, and we didn't know that the guy was basically the founder of the
baby.
company. Yeah. So it's going to be a fun podcast for that. So check that out on Monday. Tomorrow is the Wednesday podcast come back, which is just me bitching about stuff. It's a podcast less than 10 minutes. Me just bitching about things. And yeah, there's lots of projects. I was filling out my content calendar, and I have so much content that it takes me actually through SHOT. So I had to stop agreeing to do other videos. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff actually on the walls here that'll start getting used. Next year will be a different year. We're going to get back into some of the original stuff that the channel started with. I wanted to do that this year, but a channel strike hit me, which took the channel down for a week, and I fought it, knowing I was going to lose, and it was a valid loss. So I did it. So I'm just playing kind of nice right now with YouTube, but yeah, definitely check out the channel because there's a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah. The channel strikes, for the most part, very few, in my experience, and Clover has a lot more experience, not necessarily with channel strikes, but with dealing with channel strikes and different aspects of YouTube.
Couple weeks ago, I did.
I know what I'm saying is I mean, that's not your only experience of getting a strike. You've dealt with other people getting strikes, but most of the people that I've talked to that have had a channel strike, once they do their research and understand policies and all that, if they're truthful, they'll come back and say, yeah, I kind of fucked that one up. Like, yeah, I get it. You know, they may not like it, but they'd have to admit, I can see why. Yeah. And at that point, you just learn from that and try not to make that mistake again, you know.
And that's the thing is with my channel, my channel started off as a build channel. There'll be some build stuff that come, but it'll be done correctly. This is an older video that it was an 80% video. And when I got that strike, I looked at it and went, I'm going to fight it, but I know I'm going to lose. And yeah, that video, it's borderline, but I can see where they're going to do it. So I didn't disagree with it. I just took my 1 week vacation because that just happened to be the exact same day. I read that strike about 5:15 in the morning, and at 5:30 in the morning, I found the studio down here flooded. So it was just kind of
about that. I forgot about that.
So so it was a perfect day to a Saturday, perfect start to a Saturday morning. But yeah, it's the thing is I was going to fight it, and I knew I was going to lose, and I knew I was in the wrong. And quite frankly, I thought I took the video down like a while ago, and it is what it is. I'm not pissed. It just, I got my spanking for it, and okay, cool. Move on.
YouTube has different ways they can take a video all down, delete whatever. They have a lot of different things they can do before they give a strike. So it's kind of like the FBI. You know, as much as you may hate the FBI isn't going to raid your home with a warrant unless they know they've got your ass. The U.S. attorney is not going to press charges on you unless he knows he's got your ass. And I'm not defending YouTube by any means, but YouTube's not going to give you a strike. Like I said, there's other things they can do prior to giving a strike, unless they're pretty sure that you've done something that deserves a strike. That said, they do make mistakes, obviously. Mark,
I've had strikes. I've had strikes that I've fought and won.
Sure, absolutely. Like I said, they're there, but chances are,
this one was deserved. It was deserved, and like I said, it was a video that I actually thought I took down, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And okay, I got caught. I'm done. I'll play nice for a little bit, and then none of the
Take a
content
break
I
for a
have
week,
coming
and
out.
we'll be back.
Yeah, I got to deal with some personal issues that week.
Yes, you did. Mark's out there says, take care, good conversation. No one right way to do things. Thumbs up. Hey, exactly. There is no such thing as the right way. It's what's right for you and your circumstances, whatever those circumstances may be. That's what this conversation and discussion is about. Unless you
like 40 caliber.
Then there is, everyone's wrong in that sense.
Right.
Yes,
right.
I agree.
And pineapple on pizza.
Pineapple on pizza and 40 cal are two arguments you will never win with me.
Yeah.
You will never be able to convince me that you're right. So, that's what these conversations and discussions are about, is to give our opinions, to give our, I'm not going to call it advice, just give our experiences to people that may be new or newer or not have the experience in certain things. Never ever take my word as the gospel, because I might be 100% full of shit. I'm just saying. But never take anyone's word, whether you're on YouTube or just your buddy. Do your own research, do your own testing, do your own practice and training, find out what's best for you. We can give you things that you should look at. We can give you tips. We can give you guidance. Ultimately, it's your and your family's life. You're the one that has to make those decisions. So absolutely 100%. Mandatory carries is, if you don't carry 40 and don't insist on pineapple pizza, that's okay. You're just wrong. So, that's okay. But you're wrong. Clover, you don't do anything. And that's well established.
That's for sure.
That's well established. But if you were to do something through YouTube or social media, what would some of those be?
Who have I got this week? Tomorrow is Brian with Hunter's HD Gold.
Mm.
And then who do I have for Thursday? Oh, 280U is Thursday.
Okay.
So that's this week's podcast for tomorrow and Thursday, and then video drop on Friday, and dropped a slow-mo video with that Gerson 312. Rack the action and shooting in slow-mo mode, which was pretty neat. And I was like, hey, that'll make a cool short. So I dropped that one earlier. But yeah, pretty much it, really.
I'm going to leave you guys with this question to ponder. Holy shit, 2 days ago, I saw a pizza with pieces of scrambled egg on it. What the fuck? I thought it was pineapple, but I was wrong. Person who ordered it should be arrested or shot on sight. So my question to ponder on, scrambled eggs on pizza. I think I might be okay with that. Just saying.
There is such a thing as breakfast pizza, and it's pretty delicious.
Yes. So I think I'm okay with scrambled eggs on pizza. Just saying. It is what it is. Thank you, Rogue. Thank you, Clover, for joining. Thank you for everyone who was out there. Great conversation. Adam and Mark and all those guys that were making great comments throughout the night. Fantastic conversation. I appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you next Tuesday. I'm going to try to have some piece of media content out on Saturday. I'm going to go to the range on Thursday. Clover knows that I've been saying that every week for about the last 6 weeks. I'm actually going to the range on Thursday. So I'll be looking forward. Yeah, no rain forecast. May have some piece of content on Saturday, hopefully, if I can. I'm just gonna get to the range. I need to do some content out there, but honestly, I haven't been to the range in about 6 weeks. I just need to shoot. I need to go to the range and shoot for a lot of different reasons. So I'll probably turn my camera on and we'll figure out something we can do with that content. But I am going to go shoot Thursday, so I'm looking forward to that as well. But thank you guys for watching as always. We'll see you soon. We'll see you next week. Semper Fi.